Right.
When the best solution is, if you have family and friends, you need to pack that stuff up
And that's what happened
and
with
head to Pookie's house.
with this. Good evening, everyone. Thank you again so much for tuning in. This is the Real Deal Fam Network. I am Andre, and this is my gorgeous wife. Yes.
How you doing?
Bam.
Bang, 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 bang.
She is off the chain.
I'm the boss of the show, but he is the head of the house, and that is the way it is.
And they know that. They know it. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We highly appreciate it. If you hadn't had the opportunity yet, please go ahead now and hit that subscribe button.
Subscribe.
And we thank you in advance for that. With that being said, we're going to dive right in tonight. We're talking about evictions, primarily because if you've been in living in a cave, you should be aware that there's a lot of things going on in terms of we living through a recession, possibly a depression, and there has been a memorandum put on evictions.
Well, it's getting ready to get lifted off soon here, or if they don't pass these bills. See, stimuluses and extended memorandum. I can't never say that word. Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
They stop you from getting thrown out for a moment.
We're going to talk plain up in here because this is our people. We're going to suggest different things or give you advice or just tell you like we're your family because we are, okay?
Right, and I think there's been a lot of misconceptions because everybody put it like it's a blanket statement, like say, oh, they say you can't be evicted at the moment. But there's two different type, I guess, memorandums that's out right now. There's the federal one and then there's the state one. And so the federal one can stop an eviction, but it only pertains to people who have certain types of loans on the property. Or people who are companies or businesses that accepted some of the government aid during the CARES Act.
Or if they have a federally backed loan on the house. So like if they got a mortgage on
FHA
it.
loan or something like that.
Right. Then they're prohibited from, they're supposed to be prohibited from doing that or removing you from the property. But if it's free and clear and they didn't get any money, then they, and the state said it's all right.
Yeah, because you got a lot of people who, you got like heir property, houses and stuff that was inherited, that's paid for and been paid for generations. And the inheritance of those properties, they don't live there. They rent them out. And so the government can't protect you in that particular situation from being evicted from somebody like that. And so people think, oh man, I ain't paying my rent. They say, we good for the next 3 months. Mm-hmm. And then you see a notice on the door and you being evicted and the sheriff is coming.
Yeah, so especially a lot of immigrants who have property, let's say a lot of immigrants tend to come together and buy property together or help one another out. And so their property is paid and clear. And a lot of times that's their business, is so they're going to go either use you or them. And so, there's been a lot of instances where they've been trying to come over and force people out, turning off water, turning off electric, breaking pipes, just trying to get you out of there.
And we just saw a case similar to what we're talking about, a young lady off in Texas. And she thought she was good. She had lost her job. She could afford the place prior to this whole pandemic situation taking place, but she lost her job and she couldn't make her rent. And the landlord told her, we need to get this handled. He suggested that she apply for certain different assistant programs. She did, and so she needed him to fill out the paperwork to go ahead and complete the process, but the landlord never did that.
So if he fills the paperwork out, then he gets a month or 2 months of rent,
right?
Then you don't get the rest. Then you're stuck because you took the money. You can't evict her at all after that. So he's not going to be filling the paperwork out. He'd rather get somebody in that has a job. So we talk about May, June, July. It's now August. That's 4 months.
Right.
Most people who rent properties and stuff, they're just the basic Joe. They can't afford.
Right. They really depend on the tenant paying the rent. Because if they don't, some people do have mortgages on them. And it may not be a federally backed mortgage. It might be from what they call these ghost banks. And if that's the case, like we say, you're not protected from the eviction stoppage. You can still be evicted.
And they're not protected from their rental
Right. So they have a lot of liability and exposure as well.
So they wanted the landlord to absorb the federal government's lockdown and basically lose their house and the tenant stand for free. So they're legally responsible for you while you're in there. You're not paying them rent.
Right.
When the best solution is, if you have family and friends, you need to pack that stuff up.
And that's what happened
and head to Pookie's house.
With this particular young lady. She continued to fight and dispute with the landlord over the property. And she even borrowed money. I think
she borrowed $2,500.
Yes, just to fight the case, which money she could have used to apply towards the rent
of a new place. Get out and go find you a studio apartment for you. She had a teenage daughter. So almost $3,000 could have paid for where was she at? Texas?
Yeah.
She could have easily got like a $500 or $600 little studio with electric, water, all that. And paid it.
And I was talking to my wife. I said, now that's one thing. You always need to stay connected to your culture, to the inner city,
to the hood.
to the
What
neighborhood.
The heck?
Yes, because
nobody in their right mind.
Because when things get tight, you have to come out of those expensive areas. You don't have it
anymore. Yeah, she was living
anymore.
all up in a nice, luxurious area and stuff. She was black, but she and it was just her and her daughter. She did not want to leave that nice granite countertop home.
Right.
No, girl, you ain't been working 6 months. What the heck?
Yeah, and Texas is similar to states like Florida, where the real estate is not as expensive as some of the other locations around the country. So had she moved in a predominantly, I guess, the hood area, she'd have been able to spend that $2,500. Probably would have got her at least 4 months rent in the neighborhood. But instead,
and now she got an eviction on her, and she got almost $12,000 of back rent the judge awarded the man.
Yes,
and for breaking the lease and different things like that. So now she goes to try to find another place. People gonna be like, "Oh no, you got eviction, and I can't evict anybody now. Yeah, I'm not getting you. No."
Right, and so in Africa, they have a very unique system. They make you pay a full year, up to 3 years of your rent in advance, so they don't have to deal with those issues. And I think pretty soon, the United States going to adopt that policy.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. Nobody can afford that here. If you think about it, you're subsidized by credit. Everybody's using credit. You don't really have the money. Most people are using credit cards.
But you're talking about countries like Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria. They don't have the same GDP as the
So we're
states.
telling you to go back to your roots, which is do exactly like they do. Live in your grandma and your mama house during hard times, and you save up enough money to go out and purchase you a home. They don't kick the kids out and stuff at 18 like we do here when you're like, oh, you're 18, you got to go. No. Over there, they stay and live with their parents until they typically save up enough money to move out on their own when they're older, or they actually till they get married and stuff. And that builds generational wealth if you're able to put up with your kids like that. We're talking about emergency time. This emergency times right now. So you need to go back and ask Pookie if you can. Hey, what's up? We family. Grandma, moms, right now it's hard times. Everybody needs to band together.
Right. We continue to echo that. We say it over and over again because it's so important. Anytime you're in a situation like this and you're not working, your money getting kind of funny, you need to be proactive. You can't sit back and say, man, I'm hoping that second stimulus coming or something like that. Because at the moment, I think everybody needs to put that off. Because I don't even know if we're going to get a second stimulus.
What they call that acting white. I'm sorry, white people. We talking black people now. Acting white. You don't have those white people don't even have no white privileges right now.
No.
Nobody has white privilege right now, okay? Just ding, white people, if you didn't know.
It's the haves and have-nots.
It's the haves and the have-not. The elite and the others. So you don't have them privileges right now to be posted up in somebody else's spot thinking everything's hunky-dory. You eating your Cheetos or whatever. You ain't paid that piece of rent.
Yeah, they getting evicted too.
Yes, and then the landlord ain't collecting, he just gonna get foreclosed on. So all they do in a lot of the states, Republican states especially, even if there's a memorandum, the landlords have already filed. The judge has already judged, but it's just a hold until the
Right.
release date. As soon as the release date hits that day, they give you a sheriff's date when the sheriff's allowed to show up. But it ain't no you get another month or no, them
Yeah.
things done went through already.
Yeah, because a lot of people was complaining. They had attorneys consulting them and telling them that based on the CARES Act and so forth, these particular landlords shouldn't even be able to file. The court shouldn't even be accepting these evictions.
A lot of states they did. They
but
left like on hold.
They are on the books, and like my wife said, they're just waiting for that.
Like when you hide Christmas
release
gifts
date.
up there, and you got them. You just waiting to bring it out all bang right under the Christmas tree. Here you go.
And if you know you haven't paid your rent, I mean, you can't hope it away. It's gonna happen. The landlord need to get that property back. And as long as you sitting in there, they losing money.
If you have somewhere else to go, you need to
That's
start.
the problem. I think a lot of people don't.
I think a lot of people are wanting it to be like old days where they are able to still have, nobody wants to live with a family member or be cramped up but these are the times. Babylon is falling, people.
Yes, this is a special time.
Yes, your government people up in there playing. Talk about 200, no 600. I don't know. They know what they doing. They dragging you to the deep end. No.
Yes, there's definitely finna be a complete reset of how housing operate and the whole rental market. All that stuff finna change.
Yes, these are the plagues of Egypt. Don't you know that the Hebrew people they went through the plagues just like everybody else, but God had His hand over them so they weren't destroyed. Okay, so they was looking around and everybody else getting affected. Well, you need to buffer yourself. You're smart. You know if you got somewhere else to go, take your kids where they're not gonna be subjected to that. Work in advance.
Yeah, I think this is the time to set aside pride and be pragmatic. If you know you get, like my wife said, you got a family member, you got somebody out there you can reach out to, I would advise you do it sooner rather than later. Because once the sheriff get there, they give you 24 hours. And the amount of stress that's on a person to move their entire property in 24 hours it's crazy. And they're going to put your stuff side the road. And if it's raining or you ain't got a truck to get it, all the neighbors going to come outside and start picking off your stuff.
Yeah, in front of your face, they're going to come and pick your stuff up. And
you don't need that, do you?
Your flat screen TV off, and your bed off, and whatever. It's on the curb.
Yeah, this stuff happens for real. So I'm just telling you, it's very important. Call family. Call your close friends. If you find yourself in that situation, don't wait. Don't depend on the government with the second stimulus.
Yes, get you a storage unit if you can afford one. If not, you need to have a sale.
Yeah.
Sell some of that stuff off. Get rid of it. Keep your personal closest items, and then you need to make moves. Times are changing.
Right. How long do you think the government can hold off telling private people what they can't collect on their property that they own? Telling you can't collect rent. That's only gonna last so long. And when it's up, it's gonna be a bloodbath.
Them white folks gonna rage up in that White House or whatever they're gonna do and go ballistic. Okay, they're not used to getting treated like black folks. Right. I'm sorry.
The only solution would be for that if the government paid those people until this whole situation was over, until they had some clarity, and people that didn't have the money, that the government stepped in and helped pay their rent. But if they ain't paying them folk rent and the landlord ain't getting no money, they ain't trying to hear what the government's saying. This little 4 or 5 months that they got going on now, after about 6 months, people gonna be straight broke, hurting, and they're gonna be looking to get their property. They're gonna be looking at you sideways when they drive up, wanting their money.
Yeah, so in order to not run into anything like that, people get desperate to get you out of there. They try to do different stuff and tactics to you. It's called terrorizing. Yeah. The KKK did that to black people when they wanted their land in the South Carolina, North Carolina. Our family had a bunch of land in the early 1800s. and they was ran off. Okay, after the Civil War, they ran off their land. It's called the night terrors and stuff by the Klan and different things. But
so you saying the landlord's gonna start terrorizing?
Well, you see
night.
on. It's just.
Well, when you're broke, you'll do anything.
Yeah,
so.
these immigrants going crazy. They can't have their babies starving because you ain't gonna get out. They're gonna go crazy.
Immigrants. There's immigrants and people.
Yeah, they're going crazy.
From the States.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous.
It is. We seen a case
if
where
you can, please.
Well, landlord, it was a female. She went over there and cut them people water off, cut the power off. She did all those things because they didn't pay their rent.
Yeah, one Indian guy went to terrorizing the lady, threatening to beat her up and stuff. Her and her son didn't get out. So
yeah,
these people their children are going hungry and different things. Like they need that. You need money.
True.
They need money. And the whole country's suffering.
Yeah, it's not safe for you. So if you know you got a landlord like that's questionable in terms of ethics and stuff, it's probably better that, like we say, go find a family member, go ahead and move out the place, or try to work out a deal to where if you move early that they won't evict you and put that on your record. Right, they won't
put that on your record, so that way when you get get back on your feet or whatever, you're able to get you a little spot.
And most landlords, they'll work with that. Some will even pay you to get out. They'll offer
Nobody got money to pay to get out.
Some of them desperate. If the place generated enough revenue and they got a tenant waiting in the wings, they definitely will be willing to give you a couple $100 to help you move your stuff out.
Oh, maybe. But everybody's broke, so I don't know.
It's awful out there, and all these houses. And right now, we're just addressing rental properties. We not even touch foreclosures. Foreclosures take a lot longer to process and to take place. So you might say, "Oh, well, I'm renting a house and I'm struggling. I may be facing eviction." You got people that own properties that got mortgages that they live in. They gonna be on the street. And they ain't gonna have the option to hang out and hold off. Once that house go to the auction, it's a wrap.
Yeah, so a lot of landlords use their personal home as collateral to purchase other rental properties.
They do.
So if they can't pay those rental property bills and stuff, they lose their own house with their own families.
Leverage.
That's why I said people they go crazy.
Right.
So it's not safe. If you have the ability to move to a safe place with family and friends during this trying time, y'all can get together. Everybody need to pray. I don't know what kind of government you got up there that ain't praying and asking the Lord to be. Even at 9/11, everybody you had patriotism. You had the Lord. People was praying and all kind of stuff. None of that. Babylon is falling. You seek the Lord with you and your family, and find somewhere safe to be.
That's what I would recommend you do first before you do anything. You need to pray and get your spirit and your mind right.
Ask God to come into your life and your heart and help you.
And give you some favor with these folks that you're going to be dealing with. And not everybody in a situation where they don't have, they just don't have any money to pay their rent. Some people, their income has been reduced substantially. So they still have money. So that's a situation like we said in the beginning. You might can't afford where you're living at now, but you can afford somewhere a lot less expensive somewhere else. So you need to go ahead and make that move and stop trying to fight with the landlord and pay them half, pay them a third or 3/4 the rent. And at the end of the day, you're still going to be thrown out. So you have to be proactive. Take the money that you got, try to find somewhere that's going to accept that money where it's still comfortable for you to live with, and move out that spot.
Yes, and if you move with somebody, be helpful. Help to clean. Help to purchase groceries and stuff if you can. All those different things. Like if you go into grandma's, she's older. She can't be doing all that for you. Y'all need to do for her.
Grandma tell you, baby, she on a fixed income. So.
Oh, well, that's the other thing. The market's getting, we have another video about that, but the market is getting propped up by their pensions and Social Security. So if nobody's working, Social Security fund ain't getting put in. It already was negative. Now it's looking bleak for everybody.
Right. So just be conscious of these type things. I know right now it's very stressful. It's stressful for everybody, especially if you face an eviction. Sometimes when you have that kind of pressure and stress on you, you can't really think clearly. That's why we say you need to pray, slow down a little bit, and then you once you slow down and you pray, then you can kind of figure things out. Doors will start to open for you. Don't keep moving and just bump your head and you ain't really getting anywhere. So slow down a minute, pray, and then start executing and start listening. You'll see things start to happen for you.
Ask God how He wants you to direct your life and different things like that. So you're able to make the right decision.
Yes.
But we're praying for everybody.
Yes, we pray everybody be blessed.
Be wise.
Everybody need to pray that this government get their mind right and their head right. Because right now they just they doing stuff that is totally not helping the country and everybody here. We having hard times right now.
But if this is Babylon and Babylon is falling, you wouldn't be willing to leave Babylon or you know, we're supposed to be going weeping and crying and stuff. And so if you was living in luxury and stuff and everything was good, you ain't trying to go nowhere. Well, God's got to come back for His people.
Well, I guess he created a little discomfort for you. Then you tend to listen a little bit better.
Yeah, you'll be ready to go then.
Right, but you know that's for a whole nother topic. We're going to cover that. But yeah, pray, get your spirit right. Calm down, and everybody gonna be praying for one another so that we can get through this thing and find out what God will is for everybody. Because, like we say, it might be a plague that's taking place, and it's time for us to move to the next spot. So you don't know that's what it is, and you fighting to stay here and stressing yourself out over nothing.
Yeah. So if you stay here in Babylon and you get what Babylon's got coming to it.
Ooh, boy. With that being said, we're going to cut that thing short right now. Thank y'all again so much for tuning in. And if you have an opportunity, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. It don't cost you nothing. All it does is help us to stay in your feed, so when we drop a video, you will see it and you get an opportunity to watch it.
Drop it like it's hot.
Yes.
Drop it like it's hot.
And please,
you gonna know when we drop it like it's hot.
If you have a comment, please leave it below. We would love to hear what you think and situations that you're familiar with and things that can help others who read the comments. We would highly appreciate it. With that being said, y'all be so blessed and have a good night.
Call Pookie.
Good night.